Hello to all. I am Tyler Ocon, and today I am going to be discussing the horrible and inevitable collapse of the Twin Towers. Now, everyone knows about the tragic events that transpired on September 11, 2001, and how two Boeing 767 aircrafts had a fatal collision with the World Trade Center towers. But not everyone knows the specifics behind why the structurally sound 1,792-foot buildings completely collapsed. So when in construction of these two massive towers, the material chosen for the beams and core of the buildings were A36 steel. This material, when unaffected, has a perlite and banded perlite microstructure. The perlite is in a banded form because of the prior heat working and due to manganese segregation throughout the structure. This steel has an overall yield strength of 220 to 250 megapascals, a tensile strength of 400 to 550 megapascals, and an elongation percentage of 23%. Overall, making it a great choice when creating the Twin Towers. But under the conditions of 9/11, the steel could not sustain the structure. The impact of the aircrafts struck on a much higher altitude in comparison to the base of the buildings, and each tower had been mathematically prepared for aircraft impacts when in construction. So, whenever the planes did hit, where you can see in this picture, there shouldn't have been a reason for the entire building to collapse because of this. So when the disaster actually occurred, it wasn't the plane's impact that caused the collapse of the tower, but the fire that ensued. The fuel that leaked from the aircraft has approximately 2.64 times 10 to the 12th joules of energy. To put this into context, this holds the same amount of energy as 7,920,000 sticks of dynamite. The energy given off by the fire and fuel was much higher than the kinetic energy produced by the impact. This heat inevitably brought the steel to a eutectic state, which is a crystalline state between two separate substances that have a significantly lower melting point than the original substance. When observing the surface of the steel in its eutectic state, as in the eutectic mixture shown on the screen, it appeared to be a mixture between iron sulfide and iron oxide, and as a result of this, severe oxidation and intergranular melting was absolutely evident, as seen in the picture to the right. When oxidized, A36 steel corrodes and is severely weakened. And then these are some pictures of the recovered steel remnants that have almost completely corroded due to oxidation in the above picture. Observing the normalized yield strength and ultimate tensile strength measured as a function of temperature, you can see how the increasing heat of the tower severely weakened the steel completely. These graphs on the left show the effect that a temperature of 800 degrees Celsius would have on A36 steel. The maximum recorded temperature of the Twin Towers was approximately 1,000 degrees Celsius. Now, even though this heat is much higher than that of the graph, this would not melt the steel, but the insane heat brought the steel to an austenitic phase, which is the process of the steel being in a softer state before recrystallization, weakening it enough to cause an inevitable full collapse. The beams could no longer support the floors of the towers because of its altering microstructure, and the force of each floor falling in on themselves caused a pancake effect as seen on the right, resulting in the total and complete failure of the entire structure.